Dude, how you gonna ban who somebody is? Like, you gonna ban me for being white? Like, okay. Joking aside, if somebody's part of the LGBTQ community, that's how God made them. So under Islam, I think I know what you're getting at, right? We are required to treat them with every ounce of dignity and respect that you're going to give every single person, right? They do not get treated any differently than any other human being on the face of this planet. And if somebody is treating them wrong, they are not following Islam. They are not following the guidance of Islam. Okay, so that's my blanket response. But that said, Muslims are 1/3 of the world population. And even within that, okay, the majority of Muslims are in the Asia Pacific region, right? But they're all over the world. So they come from all different cultures. And think about this. If the Christians in America cannot agree on how they treat the LGBTQ community, I mean, what makes you think there's going to be homogeny among 1/3 of the world population that's Muslim, right? It's really not possible. But within the Muslim community, right, there's Sunnis and there's Shia. And the Sunni are the majority. And even within that, there are different, what's called madhabs. I don't know if I'm saying that right. These are different groups of scholars, and the scholars also give different rulings, basically different guidances. And the way that they give these rulings is they look at the Quran, and they also look at different what's called hadith, which are stories from, stories that have been passed down from the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, from his life. Okay, so it's really complicated. There's a lot of different perspectives, a lot of different views. But I've done a lot of research on this because I myself have a handful of very close friends who are in the LGBTQ community. Now, they're not Muslims, but I'm still curious just for myself, what's the perspective, right? So, first of all, I'll say if they're not Muslim, it doesn't matter what they do or what they think or what they, they are the same as anybody else that has a different way of life or something, right? So we'll say that first of all. And secondly, I'll give you the general mainstream Sunni perspective, right? The mainstream Sunni perspective is that you cannot, there's nothing wrong with somebody's desires and their feelings or who they are, right? You can't, it's like saying, oh, I wanted to punch that guy because he was being racist. Okay, well, there's nothing wrong with you wanting to punch that guy. But the problem comes in when you actually take the action and punch that guy, right? Then that's assault, and then you got problems. So, okay, so within Islam, there are two main problems with the actions of LGBTQ community, right? With acting on those instincts. And the first problem is that Islam it prohibits any sexual relations outside of marriage, okay? So in order to engage in a sexual act, you need to be married to somebody. So that's the first problem. The second problem is, most scholars will agree, it categorically prohibits sodomy, and that includes between men and women. Sorry, Muslim men and women do not engage in sodomy. So those two problems, I think, are the main hurdles for the LGBT community that choose to be Muslim. Like I said, if somebody chooses not to be Muslim, then they do whatever they want, and we have to respect that. That's the difference between people. So, but if someone is Muslim, I think those are the two main hurdles that they really encounter. And we've seen this in the Christian community as well, the question over marriage, right? So the general mainstream take in Islam is that marriage is between a man and a woman. Okay, and if you don't agree with that, right, that's fine, right? That's your belief. And I'm also not giving my personal opinions here because I am kind of more on the progressive end, right? But so that's the problem. I'm going to say with most Muslim communities, the problem is that they don't have a mechanism where you can have like same-sex marriages, right? And since sexual relations are limited to marriage, that really creates a problem. And like I said, the whole sodomy thing, right? So I really don't want to be insensitive to anybody. And yeah, I think that it's a question, kind of an open question that probably the Muslim community needs to look at more in the future. I think there are groups of more progressive Muslims that take a different stance on this, right? That have looked at this and said, oh, there is room or there is space for this within Islam. So, for me personally, I'm going to say, look, my friends that are in the LGBTQ community, I would stand by them. I would do anything for them. I respect them completely. I love them. I don't think there's anything wrong with them, and I would be really, really upset if anybody mistreated them or if anybody treated them in any sort of discriminatory or undignified way. So, I hope that answers your question.